Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for one of the most requested videos on my channel. I don't think I've ever seen you guys like request a video this much before. I've just seen a ton of comments on like multiple of my new videos, and I see a lot of likes on these comments. So that tells me you guys really want to see it. If there's a video you guys really want to see, I'll make it. So we're going to be doing the defensive tier list today. So this is something that I probably won't be updating like every single month like I do the regular tier list, but it is something I can definitely update every couple of months and do these videos on because it's interesting. And defensive type champions have become only more important, vastly more important, you know, with the addition of battlegrounds to the game, which it's actually off season now, so it's not here. But yeah, so we're going to jump into the tier list in just a sec. I just put it together. You know, the first tier list is always going to be the roughest. So I would love if you guys give me some comments on this one. I read all the comments on tier lists before I make the next one so that I can use all those comments as feedback and adjust the tier list before I make another video. So I would really love and appreciate you guys' feedback on this one. Let me know what you think. And again, this is more so kind of basic. It's not really any kind of emojis or anything. Again, this is first draft, so it's going to be the roughest. So I just basically, you know, went on Aunt May, went class by class, looked at every single champion, and I was like, okay, defensive, yes, which tier should they belong in? So I just went class by class on Aunt May here. So here, I'll show you guys the tier list. Go ahead and pull that up. So I just have four different tiers. The highest tier is hard counter required. So these are the worst of the worst champions, or the best of the best, you could say, defensive-wise. You just hate to see. And when your opponent drafts them, you immediately need to really start looking for a counter, or you're really going to have a very bad time. So that is the highest tier. Then we have the second highest tier. These champions are either annoying or tanky. And there are some champions that, you know, are tanky, but they're in the higher tier just because they're that tanky. They really require a hard counter. Then in the third tier, we have, you know, sturdy options. You know, these are good defenders. In a pinch, you know, you put them on defense, they're going to do a decent job. They're going to buy you some time, but they're still probably going to get taken down, and they're probably not going to take that much health off of the attacker unless they have like a really poor matchup. And then we have, you know, the decent options. These are like the last of the last champions that you want to be putting on defense, but they're still better than, you know, just putting down an attacker. So yeah, all right, so starting with the science class, we have Photon #1. Oh, and also there's a little star. There's 6 of these stars on the list. That just means I think that is the best defender in that given class. So I think Photon is the current best science defender. Not even close. Well, I mean, Jessica's second, but like Photon, man, she is so ridiculous. She and Kindred, we might see the first ever tune down for rebalancing defensively. We might see it. We just might see it. Like, they are so powerful on defense. I've seen them getting like so many kills in Alliance War and Battlegrounds. Like, they might be overtuned, so they might get tuned down a little bit, toned down a bit. I don't know. Personally, I ban Photon every single time I see her in Battlegrounds. She is one of my permanent bans, right alongside Tigra. So that's Photon. She is insane, an absurd defender. Yeah. Then we have Jessica Jones, who is also a very, very powerful defender. But, you know, she does have counters. She does have counters. You can use cleanse type champions to counter her, and who can counter Unstoppable. You know, Valkyrie's one of the best options. But without a counter, Jessica can really be annoying. You can just get to a point where you're basically not doing much damage, and every time you throw a special, she goes Unstoppable, Unblockable, you get a ton of weakness, and it's just not a good time. You really, really want to be bringing a counter to Jessica Jones. We move on to the skill class, and we have 4 champions here. So Nick Fury, I think Nick Fury is the best skill defender overall. I just think he is extremely well-rounded. He is annoying. He has Unblockable. He can definitely deal damage to you. Things can very easily go wrong. But the biggest thing about Nick Fury, you know, is he has 2 lives. There's no other champion in the game that has 2 full lives. You have to go through 2 full health pools when you're fighting against Nick Fury. That's insane. Dude, that is just insane. That is why Nick Fury, one of the biggest reasons why Nick Fury was my first ever ascended 6-star champion, because he is just that powerful offensively, but primarily defensively. Like, this dude is just absurd. The two health pools, like, it's ridiculous. Plus, you know, a special one, It's not the easiest to evade. It's very difficult to fully evade. You just end up taking some damage either way. Yeah, man, Nick Fury, he is that guy. And then we have 3 other extremely powerful skill defenders as well. And the crazy thing here as well is that Nick Fury is limited as a 6-star. But even with that limitation, I still think he is the best skill defender. And again, another reason why I ascended him. But yeah, Korg, Killmonger, and Attuma are all available as 7-stars. And they are all incredible defenders. I'd say Korg is actually kind of the weakest of the bunch here, if you ask me, just because you can use just about anyone for Korg if you play skillfully. You know, if you're hitting your light intercepts, you're not using medium attacks when he has the rock stacks, you can make it work with just about anyone. It's not easy, and it definitely takes a lot of skill, but that's the great thing about Korg. Whereas, you know, Attuma, on the other hand, it doesn't matter how good you play. If you don't have a counter, you're going to be taking damage. That's a big thing that separates Korg and Attuma. And then we have Killmonger, who... Killmonger has killed me many times over the course of, like, the 7 years I've been playing this game. His AI is just a big dingus. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, he will just catch you with all kinds of attacks, specials. He'll intercept you. And then, you know, the reverberation can easily get out of hand. The indestructibles from his special 2 just makes him take less damage. The counterpunch charges on the special 1, you know, it makes it so you can't hit his block. And if you do, he goes unstoppable. He can easily counter you, do a lot of damage. Killmonger, very, very annoying. I took this guy to rank 2 unduped because I think he is that powerful of a defender. Although I would really like to awaken him because the reverberation definitely is a very big piece of his defensive kit. But even without it, he is still a menace on defense and extremely tanky. And something that Korg and Killmonger have a lot in common is their stats. They have critical resistance, which basically means you're not going to be landing crits against them nearly as much, and this scales even better as 7-stars. So I'm really happy to have Korg and Killmonger as 7-stars. I just need to get them awakened. But yeah, I think they are absolutely phenomenal defenders. You definitely want to be bringing counters to them. And then we move to Mutant and Domino. Domino has a star here because Domino is the best mutant defender in the game, undisputed. Like, Domino, she is just so crazy what she can do, and you can just get unlucky. She's probably like one of the most hard counter required champions on this entire list. Like, you definitely want to be bringing a tech champion against her so you can't go unlucky, because if you can go unlucky, she can turn off your dexterity, and that can lead to a lot of problems. But even with just a tech champion, you know, you're still going to be taking a lot of damage against Domino. For example, you know, try to take Domino with Stark Enhanced Spider-Man. Back in the day, that was one of the go-to counters for Domino, and it wasn't very good because you just take so much critical failure damage, even though you're a tech champ. So you definitely want to be using a tech champion that is also immune to ability accuracy reduction. Some of the best counters for Domino, you know, Nimrod, go-to. Omega Sentinel, great option. Mysterio, good option. Shuri, one of the best options, I'd say, behind Nimrod. Yeah, without those counters, Domino is going to cause you problems. And I do have an Awakened 7-star Domino, which, you know, very lucky to have. Ace actually pulled me that. My dog, my first ever Awakened 7-star was Domino. She's going to be going up to rank 2 soon. I think I'm going to use the 1-2 generic gem from 8.3 on her. Very excited for that. And we have Bishop. Bishop used to suck. He used to just be terrible. Then he got a buff. And that was a while ago, but Bishop's buff, man, is fantastic. It's truly carrying over even to today. 7-star Bishop is very sought after in the basic pool. I'd say easily a top 10 pick, maybe even higher, maybe top 5. I don't know, but definitely a top 10 pick out of the basic. Bishop is phenomenal offensively and defensively. This dude is so freaking annoying. His special 1, you know, so many hits in it. It's very difficult to fully evade. And then, you know, he gets this passive where if you're close to him, you start getting incinerated. So, you know, you want to have a counter to that. If not, you can kind of play around that, push him to special 2s, but those special 2s are usually unblockable and very easy to mess up on. It's very dexable, but very easy to make a little mistake, get clipped, take a ton of damage, and then you get incinerated with a big incinerate that deals just a ton of damage. Bishop is just very, very powerful defender, and I think that it's really proven by, you know, we saw a hard counter. You know, like I said, Bishop was buffed years ago at this point, and he had been running rampant as a defender for a while. And Kabam released a champion that just fully hard countered Bishop, which is Iron Doom, or Infamous Iron Man. He is the hardest counter to Bishop in the game. There's already some good counters to Bishop, like Ghost, Kitty Pryde, but Bishop was just such a dominant defender that they really felt the need to make a champion to solely counter him, and that is Iron Doom. And he does it extremely well. So I think that just kind of speaks volumes to how powerful Bishop is a defender, that they really need to make a champ to hard counter him. Then we have two other mutants here. Sauron. I think Sauron is a phenomenal defender. Really, really great in the mutant class. That he does exist as a 7-star. I've seen some people pull 7-star Sauron and they're mad about it. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? I would love a 7-star Sauron. This dude is such a menace on defense. However, if you are going to be running a Sauron in your deck, I highly advise that Nimrod becomes one of your go-to bans. That's what my buddy Zarafa does. Or I don't know if he still does, but he definitely did that a while ago. He took his Sauron to rank 2, and he'd always be banning my Nimrod. And that Sauron definitely gave me some problems. He's definitely killed me a few times. Rank 2 Sauron is very scary. He's a very good defender, very easy to mess up against. He can go unblockable. I find the special 1 a little tricky. And the special 2, I can usually dex it, but that can still catch you too sometimes. And yeah, Sauron, very punishing defender. Very, very solid. If you pull the 7-star Sauron, man, that's a good pull. Trust me. Use him in Battlegrounds, throw him on defense, and ban Nimrod. Then we have Weapon Flex. And I was debating putting Weapon Flex over here, but ultimately I decided to put him here. I do think Weapon Flex is a phenomenal defender. The only thing is, again, it's kind of similar to Korg, where if you're skilled, you can easily counter Weapon Flex kind of with almost anyone. You know, it's not going to be easy to counter him with some champs, but if you play skillfully, you can completely play around him and still take him down. But he is still also very punishing, being unblockable. It's very easy to slip up against him, and I see it happen in Tier 1 wars all the time. So, yeah, I think Weapon Flex still deserves a spot. Then we move on to tech, and so we have Future Ant-Man. I think Future Ant-Man is the best tech defender currently. Ever since he got rebalanced, basically what happened with Future Ant-Man is when he was released, you know, he's meant to be this glancing powerhouse. And he was glancing when he was released, but it actually was bugged. It wasn't working the way it was supposed to. Now it's working properly, and actually toned down a little bit from what his kit was originally supposed to be. But even still, he's way better on defense now. So much more glancing. And yeah, he's just very, very tanky due to that glancing. He's also very easy to slip up against. His specials aren't that hard to evade. You can definitely learn them, but it is a bit of a learning curve. And I've seen many people just get straight up one-shotted by his special 2. His special 2 has a lot of hits in it, and if you have the red passive on you and you make one little mistake on that special 2, he's just going to kill you. He's going to deal so much damage to you in red that you just die. And again, I've seen this happen this season. Good players in my alliance, I've seen die to this twice already. It happens. Future Ant-Man, he's a nutty defender. I think he's the current best tech defender in the game. You know, it used to be Penny, but then they released so many champions that just hard counter Penny. Whereas Future Ant-Man, he is countered by some new cosmics, like Hulkling, for example. Hulkling counters Penny and Future Ant-Man. But on the other hand, you know, Gallon counters Penny, but Gallon does not hard counter Future Ant-Man. Even though he is an armor-up machine, Future Ant-Man has damage caps implemented into his kit so that he can't lose more than 10% health, and that actually counters Gallon's Harvest. So, you know, he even counters Cosmic Champs that should counter him. So, Future Ant-Man, yeah, just absolutely phenomenal defender. Highly, highly recommend this champion. He's a phenomenal attacker as well. So Future Ant-Man, such a great champ, dude. Such a great champ. Then, like I said, we have Penny Parker. The problem with her now is just there are a lot of hard counters to her, and it seems like every new Cosmic counters Penny Parker, which kind of sucks for her. But we do have some other really good tech defenders as well. We have Mysterio here. I took my Mysterio to rank 2 unawakened, and I was very happy I did that. He was a very big help for me, achieving top 8 for Season 10 during Crit Me With Your Best Shot. I actually really enjoyed using him on attack. But he's done a lot of work on defense as well, especially when the meta really allows him to shine. However, Mysterio does gain a lot from his Awakened ability. He gains his gas passively, which just makes the effects from his specials last longer. Because with the whole thing with Mysterio is his special 1, it gives him a little passive that if you attack him in that time, when the passive expires, you take all the damage that you dealt to him. So basically, after you throw special 1, you have to just wait. And then the special 2, it gives a power drain debuff on you, so you lose power. And then Mysterio gains chance for you to miss. So you can't just reliably 5 combo him. So again, you kind of have to wait that out. The only special that really doesn't have a negative on Mysterio is a special 3, which, only just gives him a base attack rating, which is no big deal at all. However, not many champions can bait out a special 3 safely. There's only a few that can do that. For example, Kitty Pryde can do it. Hercules can do it if he builds to his special 3 first. There's some ways to do it, but it's really not practical in 99% of situations. So that makes Mysterio a very powerful defender. Then we have Iron Man Infinity War. So man, Iron Man Infinity War, when this dude came out, he was blowing everyone away in Alliance War. There was just one path that dealt with armors. And again, this was before a lot of the current Cosmic Goats were out. So I remember seeing screenshots of like Iron Man Infinity War getting like 30, 40, 50 defender kills a war. Like it was just ridiculous. And I haven't really seen a ton of Iron Man lately, but when I do, I fought a couple rank 2s, Awaken and Battlegrounds. It is a pain in the butt. If I awaken my Iron Man Infinity War, I think I will rank 2 him. I think I will. I think he is still that guy. Even though there are a lot of really good Cosmic Champs now. Obviously, everyone has counters. Every single champion, even in this highest defensive tier, has counters. And when you use the counter, it makes them not that big of a bad defender. The whole thing with these champions is when they don't have counters, that's when they truly shine. So that's tech. Let's go ahead and move on to Cosmic now. So I have 4 champions listed here. We have Hulkling, Gallon, Terrax, and Cersei. I think these are 4 of the best Cosmic defenders in the game. And I think Hulkling is the best. I personally find Hulkling to be the most annoying, one of the absolute most annoying champions to fight in the entire game. And if I don't have a counter, it's just terrible. I think the only champion I'd rather fight Hulkling over without a counter would be Photon. If I didn't have a counter, I think I'd rather fight Hulkling than Photon, because screw Photon. But Hulkling is just ridiculous without a counter. Like I genuinely thought Hulkling was gonna get toned down come rebalancing defensively. I just think he is so ridiculously overtuned. Like, constant regen, constant indestructible if he throws the special 1, which his AI loves to do. He has increased power gain based on, the way his shape-shifting charges work when he gains buffs and everything. And yeah, just without a counter, dude, Hulkling is just so terrible. He's just so freaking terrible. I despise it. But with a counter, again, he's cake. Bring a long shot, bring Hood, bring Rintra. You're going to counter him no problem. But without a counter, Hulkling is just ridiculous. Then we have Gallon. Gallon's a phenomenal defender, especially, and I think Gallon can actually surpass Hulkling when the nodes allow for it. And what I mean by that is basically any nodes where Gallon is going to be gaining more buffs, that's when Gallon truly starts to shine. And there are a lot of nodes like that. The current Battlegrounds meta we just had that. Both metas were granting prowess buffs. That made Gallon a truly formidable defender in those metas, because every time Gallon gains a buff, he gains some harvest. I believe it's 10. So just any nodes that can give Gallon more buffs, he can more easily get into his harvest. If he gets to 100 on defense, boom, it's activated. Once that ends, you're just taking damage. So in the right scenario, Gallon can actually be, I think, one of the best Cosmic defenders. But, just generically, I do think Hulkling is better. Then we have Terrax. Terrax is a very annoying defender, especially paired with something like the Inequity Mastery, which basically, for every debuff on you, it lowers your attack up to, I believe, 36%. So, Terrax, at the start of fights and when he's in his Rock Shield, he's applying armor breaks to you, which isn't that big of a deal. They're not dealing damage to you. You can actually heal from them. But again, with the Inequity Mastery, it's going to really slow you down. You're going to be dealing way less damage. So, even if you have an appropriate Terrax counter, if those debuffs are still applying to you, the fight is still going to be very slowed. The best counter for Terrax by far is Absorbing Man, who came out this year. But yeah, Terrax is a very powerful defender. If I had an Awakened 7-star, I would absolutely take him to rank 2. Then the last champion we have on here is Cersei. So I think Cersei flies under the radar a ton, which I'm glad, because personally I do not like fighting her. But I think she's a heavily underrated defender, and I definitely think she deserves to be up here. I really do think we could very well see Cersei as a 7-star. I'm honestly kind of surprised that we haven't. But yeah, if she does come out as 7-star, it's going to be terrible to fight. But yeah, I think Cersei, very, very underrated defender. I think she's top tier for sure. And then we get into the Mystics. So the Mystics is the most defensive class in the game. So, of course, they have the most champions listed here. And there's even some arguments for some more of these guys to be listed here. But I think these are the best of the best Mystic defenders. You know, Magic is listed up here. However, she's limited as a 5-star, which isn't quite as bad now because we do have the introduction of Ascension. However, this is just a 5-star. So at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. But if Magic was a 6-star, which because of her limbo, that is potentially part of the reason why she has been held back as being released any higher. Because the limbo damage from Magic, if you don't have a counter, is just absurd. It's just fun and interactive damage. It is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I remember fighting Magics back in the day in like the OG war map. And I remember what you had to do back then. So there wasn't really a ton of magic. There wasn't really magic counters. You know, this was pre-Blade days. I remember the best way to do it really was go to your masteries, put on Pacify, max it out. When you parry, you have a 30% chance to counter abilities. So you basically would just parry, then push magic above a bar of power, and hope that she wouldn't trigger Limbo. Like that was the way to counter her back in the day. And still today, like there's not a ton of magic counters. There's definitely a lot more, but like it's not that common of a thing to be able to counter magics these days. So I think if we did see Magic as a 6 or 7-star, she would be reigning supreme on defense. However, she's pretty much irrelevant until she is a 6 or 7-star. I still just wanted to list her and talk about her though. But I think the best Mystic defender in the game is Sasquatch. Simply because Sasquatch has the biggest health pool in the entirety of MCOC. He has the most health, which means he is the tankiest boy out there. But he is not just tanky. The really, really unique and dangerous thing about Sasquatch defensively is he's all RNG based. And what I mean by that is RNG is luck. There's just luck in fighting Sasquatch. You know, you can have the best player in the entire world, dude, fight a Sasquatch 2 times. Those 2 times will not be identical. He could play exactly the same, perfectly, not miss a beat, not miss a single intercept, play absolutely flawless. Those 2 fights will not be the same. For the simple reason that Sasquatch gains rage stacks, and then eventually he triggers the Wrath of Tanarak. However, there is no set stack where he triggers it. Again, it's all random. So, you know, he could trigger it at 6 rage stacks 30 seconds into the fight. He could trigger it at 10 rage stacks at, 50 seconds into the fight. He could trigger it at 11, 12 rage stacks a minute into the fight. Like, you could just get unlucky and him not triggering it. And the whole big, you're like, okay, well, who cares whether he triggers it or not? You should care, because for every single rage stack that Sasquatch has, he gains 5% damage reduction, period. So he is just reducing incoming damage by 5% for every stack. So what that means is the longer it takes for him to trigger Wrath, the more damage you're not dealing. So again, you can just get unlucky, it takes forever to trigger, that gimps your damage that entire time, and it's a really slow fight. So Sasquatch, he's just so insanely built defensively. Biggest health pool in the game, RNG based with damage reduction. That's what makes Sasquatch the best defender in the game. One of the best defenders in the entire game. He might just be the best overall. He's definitely up there. He is definitely up there. I took my Sasquatch to rank 2 unawakened. I was kind of unsure about it at first. By far one of the best rank ups I've ever done. Even unawakened, Sasquatch has been putting in so much work. Again, just because of his massive health pool and the way Rage works. Awakened Sasquatch is definitely a lot better because during Wrath of Tanarak, he gains unstoppable passives when he throws specials, which is a big deal. Unduped, he doesn't have that, so it's much easier to punish and get in some more damage. But yeah, Sasquatch, dude, definitely the best Mystic defender in the game. And yeah, definitely in consideration for one of the, if not the best defender in the game. For all the reasons I listed. Then we do have some other incredible Mystic defenders. Dr. Doom, tried and true, just an absolute tank on defense. Dr. Doom has some of the most ridiculous base stats in the entire game, especially defensively. He has so much armor, critical resistance. Like, he's just stacked on the stats, and that makes him very tricky to fight. Plus he is annoying. He has some very annoying abilities. The special 1 is unblockable, very easy to slip up on. The special 2 can do a lot of damage in your block if you block it, and if you don't block it, again, it's very easy to slip up on, similar to Bishop. And again, even me today, I still mess up Doom Special 2 from time to time. Even MSD, I've seen him mess up a Dr. Doom Special 2 before. The king of Dexing. It happens. It happens to all of us every now and again. And Doom can just be very, very punishing. Plus, I think one of the cheapest mechanics that Dr. Doom has is when he has his aura active, just by attacking him. You could be playing perfect. You can be evading all of his specials with 100% accuracy, be playing perfect, be taking no damage, but he has his aura up. And let's say you just fully dex his special, and you attack him, and his aura just has a chance to nullify your buffs. So boom, now your dex buff gets nullified, now you have a shock on you, and Doom, he's like, oh, a shock? He instantly just goes for a heavy, and he slaps you. And he just dealt and he crit, and he just dealt a bunch of damage to you. And what did you do? You played perfectly. You dexed his specials. You didn't do anything wrong. You just got unlucky, got your buff nullified, and then got slapped. And I think that's the cheapest part of Doom's kit, but it can happen. So yeah, Doom is always going to be a really good defender. Then we have Kindred, dude. So again, Kindred is kind of in that same boat as Photon, that I think there's potential for definitely some rebalancing. He could be maybe tuned up a little bit offensively and maybe tuned down a little bit defensively. Kindred is just ridiculously tuned defensively right now, especially with his SIG ability. It's all about the SIG ability. If you have it max SIG, basically when you would kill Kindred, he's kind of like Hercules in the fact that he can't just die. He triggers this like last stand type thing, and he'll root the opponent. And that root lasts longer for the higher SIG Kindred is. And when you get rooted, that's when things can very easily go wrong. I've had Battleground fights. I'm about to kill Kindred. I push him to that final last stand phase. I have full health. I've been playing the fight perfectly. And then I get rooted. And then he throws a special. And I'm just stuck in the root. And he's just dealing degen damage to me. And there's nothing I can do about it. And I went from full health, he's at 1%, to the fight's over, and I'm at 60%. And that's just like what Kindred does. Like it's so frustrating when that kind of thing happens. Plus, the way Kindred works, essentially, when you're fighting him, what you want to do is instantly punish his specials. And I find this kind of tricky to do with the special 1 personally. So the way I like to fight Kindred is just to push him to special 2s. It's much easier to get that insta punish. And what that'll do is it'll kind of pause this timer on you. When this timer on you gets to 50, you start just taking a lot of damage. When you're close to Kindred, you start just degenning. So yeah, the way to counter that is to, bait special 2s and punish them, or special 1s. However, Kindred has a lovely ability where if he activates his heavy attack, he activates this aura. And then if he throws the special with the aura active, well, guess what? All those charges on you ramp up faster. So you get to 50 even faster. And that doesn't sound like the biggest of deals, but Kindred, his AI, is built to be extra annoying and just throw out heavy attacks. So you won't even be near him, and he'll just throw out a heavy attack, and then boom, he activates this aura. And then he throws his special. And before you know it, you're already at 50 stacks just degenning. And it's terrible. It's cheap. I really don't like that. I really don't like that. And the fact that like his AI just loves to throw heavies, especially like when you're trying to bait a special, he won't throw the special. He'll throw heavies out of nowhere, and then he'll throw the special. And again, like it just screws you over. So the AI way that's built is kind of cheap, and it just makes Kindred an even worse defender. So yeah, very curious to see if him or Photon will get tuned down a little bit when it comes to rebalancing. We'll have to see. Next up, we have Mangog. So, dude, I was so excited when I pulled a 7-star Mangog, which I was probably the most excited person to ever pull a 7-star Mangog. Like, I really wanted him because, dude, 7-star Mangog is redonkulous on defense. Like, I genuinely think top 10 defender easily at 7-star rank 2, even unawakened. He is just a problem. He is a problem. I cannot wait to get my Mangog up to rank 2. As soon as I get 4 tier 6 Mystic Catalyst, he's going up. Very, very excited to see that. At rank 1, I haven't used my Mangog a ton. He has been in my decks, but I haven't really drafted him much. But I think at rank 2, that's when he's really going to start to shine. And then the final champion here we have is Rintra. So Rintra is locked as a 6-star. I think that makes Rintra a very, very solid option for Ascension. I've seen some Ascended Rintras, and man, oh man, are they a pain to fight. They are a massive pain to fight. Rintra, there's also like a bunch of bugs with Rintra, so like some of his stuff's not even working right. Like he's just insane. Rintra, like things like I think I know how to fight Rintra, and I'm fighting him, and then he just goes unstoppable. I get like rooted against my wall, and like just things just go wrong. Things just always seem to go wrong against Rintra. And it's so easy for it to happen. Rintra, definitely one of the best Mystic defenders in the entire game. He's got a massive health pool. I think as a 7-star, Rintra would probably only be behind Sasquatch, I want to say. Like his health pool is that fat. So, yeah, man, Rintra just a beast. So that is the top tier defenders. Those are the best defenders in the game, in my opinion. And yeah, I'd say Sasquatch, the best Mystic defender. Hulkling, the best Cosmic defender. Future Ant-Man, the best Tech defender. Domino, the best Mutant defender. Nick Fury, the best Skill defender. And Photon, the current best Science defender. So I've already been talking for half an hour. Wow. That time just flies by. So I don't want to elongate this video too much longer. But we do have some other options here. So that's in this annoying tier, we have Thing. I was debating putting Thing higher, but I feel like Thing's not that hard to counter these days in most metas. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I think Titania is a very, very solid defender. She has currently on Aunt May the second highest health pool in the entire game when it comes to 7-stars. Like there's some, if we're talking 6-stars, you know, like they have some higher health pools than a 6-star Titania. But a 7-star Titania at rank 2 has one of the highest health pools in the entire game. And you know, Titania, I'm loving her right now. She's incredible on attack. She's also a good defender. She's annoying. She's tanky. She can stall the fight with her haymakers. That's what she can do. You know, some skill champs here. Zemo, pretty great defender. Things can easily go wrong. You know, once he starts to stack up those disorients from the special one, his block damage can get really out of hand. Mantis, I think, is a really great defender at like a 7-star rank 2 level. Just got to be very careful when you're fighting her with, you know, her throwing a special 1. Then you can get put to sleep. You got to be careful with that. Havoc, Nightcrawler, Kitty, Toadstorm X, some great mutant defenders. I was debating if any of these guys could get to the next level. It's kind of maybe debating Toad, but I don't think Toad's that good of a defender. I think he's great. I think he's really great, but I don't think he's like quite top tier. I don't see him that much. Then we have tech champs. I think Shuri, again, really, really great defender. She's just annoying. Can't really parry her unless you have a champion that can parry on-contact attacks, which is very rare. So you can just really slow fights down. She can activate her untouchable. Again, can't touch her for a while. Really slows the fight down. Her specials are punishable, but they're not the easiest to evade and punish. Nimrod, definitely just tanky. I think Darkhawk, dude. I was debating putting Darkhawk in here. I think a Sig 200 Darkhawk is definitely one of the best tech defenders. But you just don't see him ever, which is interesting. But I think Darkhawk's pretty heavily underrated as a defender. Same with Nightcrawler. Then we get to Cosmic. There's a lot of really great Cosmic defenders that didn't quite make this top tier list. But that's Adam Warlock. I was debating putting him higher. I think Adam's a really great defender, but I don't have him yet, so I haven't been able to really utilize him too much on defense. I think a lot of people heavily underrate Adam as a defender, which is, again, another reason why I can't wait to get him, to really just throw him on defense a bunch and see what he can do. I think he's a very powerful defender. I don't really like fighting him. Things can just very easily go wrong. And I think the biggest thing about Adam is he really just takes you out of the flow of the fight. And what I mean by that is every single time he throws a special 2, he's going to activate that pod. And that pod, you can't hit him while he has that pod. You have to just wait it out. So like, this completely interrupts the flow of the fight. I think that's the biggest reason why Adam's a really great defender. And like, he can just catch you if you block too much. He can break through your block, go unblockable, start comboing you. Things can just very easily go wrong against Adam. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. Yeah. Hercules is a great defender, man. That immortality, he just takes a while to get down if you don't have someone that can get around that immortality. Plus, you know, he goes stun immune. Every time you knock him down, you know, he builds those feats. It's very easy for you to get and for him to just catch you. It's happened to me again, time to time. Null, I think Null could maybe move up. Again, it's similar to the whole Terrax thing with Inequity, that Null at a high sig, he's just gonna apply debuffs to you at the start of the fight, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. And again, if they're running Inequity, each of those debuffs is going to be lowering your attack for a maximum of 36%. So again, that's just going to really slow you down. Plus, Null is similar to Mantis in the fact that you don't want to bait the special one. If he throws that special one, I think I already convinced myself. I think we're gonna upgrade Null. Yeah, I think we are. I've convinced myself. He deserves to be up there. Again, especially if you're running that Inequity, it's I think it's extremely worth it. It's just he just really elongates fights, and sorry, I'm trying to talk and do this. There we go. Yeah, we'll put Null up there. He really elongates fights, and it's very easy to slip up against. If he gets that special one off, it can really just spell your doom. If you don't time a special right, you can become inverted controls. They can really get out of hand. So what you want to just be doing against Null is baiting that special 2. But that special 2 is not the easiest to evade. I've seen it clip people. It can happen. Null, just, yeah, a really, really great defender. Really all around fantastic champion. The only thing is that he needs those SIGs. So, Null being a 7-star is fantastic, but it's every 13 SIG levels he applies a debuff. So it's going to take a lot of 7-star SIGs to get him to that point. But then, we also have some really other solid cosmic defenders. We have Hyperion. That power gain can just be very annoying if he doesn't want to throw a special. Hyperion exists as a 7-star now as well. I think that's fantastic. Nova, I took Nova up to rank 5 for the Crit Me With Your Best Shot meta, and he truly excelled there. But outside of that meta, I don't even have him in my deck. I don't think Nova's that great of a defender in generic metas. He's still solid, but I don't think he's quite top tier. Then we have Arcus. I think Arcus is, again, a criminally underrated champion, and especially as a defender. I really wanted this guy from my loyalty crystal. I would have taken him to rank 2 unawakened. I think he has a lot of potential on defense. Just, again, he has that passive power gain similar to Hyperion. Plus, he also applies armor breaking cold snap if you're near him, which is huge. We have Annihilus. Annihilus, just annoying. Builds up those debuffs on you. He goes unstoppable. That's what he does. Then we have, again, a ton of Mystics here. The most Mystics in this class, in this tier. So starting with Absorbing Man. Absorbing Man, fantastic defender. And he actually did get tuned down defensively. So I guess we have seen a defensive tune down. But it was so minuscule. And it was completely irrelevant for Battlegrounds. So that's kind of why I don't really count it. But basically, Absorbing Man, I think the change was when you die to Absorbing Man and you go back in to fight him, the regen was just out of control. So the main change was to affect that. When you die to him and go back in, he's not just going to be regenning like crazy. So that was the only change. But fighting Absorbing Man one time, he hasn't changed at all. So yeah, that's why I don't really look at it as a defensive tune down quite like what I want to see for Photon or Kindred. Yeah, I think Absorbing Man is a great defender. He is fairly simple to counter. There are a lot of good counters to him. Most of the good science champions are going to be able to counter Absorbing Man. You just really need to be heavy punishing his specials, which again is not that difficult to do. He's also very trigger happy with those specials, so he gives you a lot of opportunities to counter him and to turn off those modes. But if you don't have a good counter, he can definitely get out of hand, and the regen can get pretty nutty. Then we have America Chavez. I was debating putting her here. She's a phenomenal defender. Things can very easily go wrong. But again, with a decent counter and playing her, as long as you don't get that terrible AI, she can go down fairly fast too. But yeah, if you interrupt her heavy and she activates the light blue mode, she basically turns into Electro, which is very annoying. Then we got some other big boys up here. Man-Thing. I took my Man-Thing to rank 5. Again, for Crit Me With Your Best Shot. But again, outside of that meta, I don't even think he was in my deck for the last meta. It's just, I don't know. I think there's a lot of better Mystic defenders. Same thing kind of with Mojo. Mojo is a 7-star now, which is fantastic. I'd love to get him. I'd probably rank to him. But again, I just don't think Mojo's quite on the same caliber as some of these other Mystics when it comes defensively. Mojo is kind of RNG when you're fighting him, so if you can get lucky, he can be kind of good, but still, I don't know. Then we have Mephisto. Mephisto's a phenomenal defender, especially at a high sig, just more chance to trigger that Aura of Incinerate. But, you bring in someone who's Incinerate immune, it's not going to be too bad. Mephisto could have maybe gone here because he does kind of require a counter. I'll think on that. Then we have Ebony Maw. phenomenal defender. A lot of people, there's a lot of 7-star Ebony mods in the ecosystem now because of the whole champion selector. A lot of people picked him. We have Mordo. I recently pulled Mordo from the, like, that was who I got from the Loyalty Crystal, which was like my 3rd pick. But Mordo did get buffed, so he is a lot better offensively now. Maybe I should give him another try. And Mordo is very good on defense. You know, if you parry him and you attack him with a regular attack, he's going to astral evade, counter you, apply degen. The other really weird and annoying thing with Mordo is that, you know, if there's any type of node that gives him some type of evade, when he triggers it, it triggers his astral evade. So, you know, let's just say there's a node, the node where it's like a 50% chance for them to evade on a hit. If you're fighting Mordo and he evades like that, he's going to degen you. He's going to astral evade on you, which is weird. I don't think that it should work that way. Like, his astral evade should only work in conjunction with his own astral evade, not outside evasion, but that's the way the game is. So it makes him scale very good on any type of nodes like that. And then we have Mystic Spider-Man, who is a good defender. The only thing about Mystic Spider-Man is he has a teeny tiny health pool. So, you know, if things go right, you can get him down extremely fast, but you do need to be careful. You know, most of the times when you try to use your medium attack, he's just going to activate one of his things, and then you're going to be missing. You can't attack him. So when I fight Mystic Spider-Man, I just light attacks. Light attacks for life. And yeah. But those are the top 2 tiers. I don't think we're going to talk too much more about these bottom tiers. You know, these are just some alright defenders. You know, these guys are pretty good defenders for the most part when you're in a pinch. They can definitely get the job done. And then these guys are more really specialized defenders that you probably don't want to be using most of the time, but in certain situations they can really excel. For example, Elsa Bloodstone, if you're running the Suicide Masteries, you have the bleed double edge on her, someone fights her without a mutant, they're going to be degenning like 70% of their HP. Can definitely be good. Mr. Sinister, not a very good defender most of the time, but again, crit me with your best shot, easily a top 5 defender. It really just depends. These guys are situational. Maybe that's what I should put this to. Situational options. I like that better. Yeah, I was kind of having trouble coming up with names for these tiers, but yeah, I like that. I think that sounds pretty good. But yeah, guys, that is gonna go ahead and do it for my I don't know if I ever made one before, but definitely not in a long time. A defensive tier list for 2023 October. Let me know what you guys think about the tier list. It was highly requested, so I had to make it for you all. Hope you guys enjoyed. If so, I would really appreciate you dropping a like on the video, maybe sharing it with an alliance mate or something. That really goes a long way, helps me and the channel out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, all the support. If there's a video you guys really want to see, just let me know and I'll make it. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Peace out.